Okay, well, this video deals with rationalizing denominators. What the heck is that, you ask? Well, if you happen to have the fraction 5 over square root 3, the denominator is not considered rational. And you might reasonably say, big deal. Well, it's not considered simplified if you have a square root in the denominator of a fraction. And yes, I know it seems like mathematicians get the biggest things to get all upset about. Why not just leave it that way? I get it, but it's considered simplified only if you get rid of this square root, this radical down below. So we're going to find a way to take care of that. And here's the way we're going to do it. I'm going to multiply this equation by 1, which doesn't seem like it's going to do a whole lot. Multiplying by 1, as you know, doesn't change anything. But I'm going to multiply by kind of a sneaky version of 1. I'm going to multiply by square root 3 over square root 3. Okay? And let's look and see what happens. Now, on the top, 5 times square root 3 is 5 square root 3. Not a lot of mystery there. And then look down here. Square root 3 times the square root 3 is really the square root of 3 times 3. Well, 3 times 3 is 9. The square root of that is 3. Look at that. Now, the denominator is rational. So we have rationalized the denominator. So we're going to look at a few more of those. Suppose you get 7 over square root 5. So what version of 1 do I use to simplify this? Well, if you look back at the previous screen, I had a square root 3 down there that I didn't want there, so I multiplied by the square root of 3. Of course, I had to multiply on the top by square root of 3 as well. So back over here, what I'm going to do is choose to use the square root of 5 on the top and the bottom. Okay, again, that's 1, so I'm really not changing anything, but I'm changing its form. So here I go. The top is 7 times the square root of 5. I get 7 root 5. On the bottom, square root of 5 times the square root of 5 is 5. So now the denominator is rationalized. So I'm going to look at another one over here. How about if I have 3 over 2 square root 7? Okay, well, I don't want this square root 7 down below there. So I'll multiply at the top and bottom by the square root of 7. And people might ask, reasonably, should I also multiply by 2 square root 7? Well, no, I really don't care if there's a 2 down there. I just want to get rid of that square root 7. So we'll just carefully do this, and we'll be done. So 3 times the square root of 7 is 3 root 7. Down here, I've got square root 7 times square root 7. That's 7. But don't forget, you're also multiplying by 2, so we'll just write it as 14. Now the denominator is rationalized, and we're good to go. So let's look at another one here. How about 6 square root 2 over 5 square root 3? Okay. So I know I need to multiply by the square root of 3 times the square over the square root of 3, so just like this. But what do I do about that square root 2? Well, I don't care if it's up there in the numerator. That's fine. I'm not rationalizing numerators. I'm rationalizing denominators. So who cares if there's a square root 2 up there? We'll just deal with it as it comes along. So we'll have on the bottom, square root 3 times square root 3 is 3. Don't forget we're multiplying by 15. So by 5, so we'll get 15 down here. And then let's see what goes on up here. I've got a 6, and then square root 2 times square root 3 is square root 6. Okay, so I just multiplied the root 2 that was up there by the root 3 and got root 6. Since we're simplifying, we really should make sure we reduce 6 and 15. Both of those are divisible by 3, so I'm going to do that. 6 divided by 3 is 2. I still have a square root 6 up there. And down 15 divided by 3 is 5. Now it's simplified and rationalized as much as possible. Be aware of something here. Please don't consider saying, well, 15 and 6 both reduce, and so I get a 5 down here and 2 up there. Doesn't work. Since that 15 was not inside a square root sign, you can't do that. You can't simplify stuff outside a square root sign. with something inside square root 10. So don't do that. Okay, let's take a look at one more. Let's get 10 square root 20 over 3 square root 2. Do I need to simplify the root 20 down into 4 root 5 or whatever I get? I don't need to do that yet. I can take care of that all at once at the end here. So what should I multiply top and bottom by? Well, I only want to get rid of that root 2 down there, so I'll just multiply by root 2 over root 2, just like that. On the bottom, we'll have root 2 times root 2, that's 2, times 3 is 6. Root 20 times root 2 is root 40. And then I was also multiplying by 10. Now let's see what else we need to do here. That root 40, I'm going to use a skill from the previous videos. I'm going to take that 40 and break it down this way. And I see a pair of 2's here, which means that root 40 could have a 2 taken out of it. So I'll take a 2 out of the root 40, but there's a 10 out there already, so I'll write it as 20. Inside I'll still have 10 from the 2 times 5, and then down below I still have a 6, and of course I should reduce 20 and 6 to 10 and 3. So I'll get 10 root 10 over 3. And that's as simplified as we can get. Okay, that'll do it.